Warboss Gitslaya was stuck. He had been locked up nice and tight. Chains upon chains and plasteel upon plasteel sealed him in the box, with only one small slit for his vision. He could see the maestro and his racks charging towards him, with only 5 weedy, spiky pansies to stand in their way. What the maestro didn't know was that Redbrain and Bonepicker had anticipated this possibility. They had deliberately chosen a warehouse that was used by a group of smugglers involved in trafficking humies and pansies into Comorra to be sold. What the smugglers had discovered was a way to befuddle scanners that could detect life signs, so any living creature could be stuffed into the cargo containers whenever Imperial patrols scanned for contraband. So, when the maestro scanned the warehouse, he believed Bonepicker and his ragged crew were alone. Oh, they most assuredly were not.
Whoa!
Crumpa burst out from one of the shipping containers along with a mob made up of the surviving Goths from the escape. Redbrain was much more quiet when he slipped out of his crate, and he moved to free Warboss Gitslaya from his box. Poodle and his pack of squigs leapt free from the confines of their boxes and began gnashing their teeth as they charged headlong into the fray. More of the Gut-Ripper tribe emerged from hiding, and the maestro found himself caught in an ambush.
I would have expected this kind of treachery from a poor, partnering with orcs. How incredibly gauche and loutish of you. Jerome, peel the skin from their faces. We're about to engage in some improvisational paincraft.
The orcs, Squigs, and Gretchen plowed into each other. The orcs wielded looted scrap with surprising brutality. A few orcs threw crates into the pile of racks and grotesques. One rack was crushed immediately, but one of the hulking flesh abominations simply headbutted one of the crates, shattering it, and the creature wailed with joyfully intoxicating sensation of pain. Chapovsky himself was deftly slicing through orcs that approached him. Crumpa was fighting his way toward the maestro, but his minions were protecting him from the orc truck boy.
Redbrain, get me out of this thing!
I'm working on it. Just give me a second.
Seconds up! Why are still stuck in here?
As Redbrain fumbled with the locks and seals on the box, Bonepicker and the other Drukhari slunk up behind him and leveled their weapons at him. How about you leave that smough-filling beast where he is? Redbrain stopped and held up his hands.
What is you talking about? That maestro Git is gonna stick you good. From me research, I think spiky pansies don't like dying.
And what happens when you orcs win? You either kill us, or we're enslaved to keep working as your puppets until you kill us later. I know how you greenskins work. Don't worry. You can let your boss out in a moment. Once the maestro thins out your tribe a little bit. Nothing personal, orc. It's just business. I'll just have a stronger hand to play if the orcs and the maestro wipe each other out.
I'm gonna rip your Gittish pansy faces off and feed 'em to Poodle. I'm gonna burn down this whole stupid Git city.
I'd like to see you try from inside that box, orc. Redbrain grinned, still holding his hands up.
He was pretty smart. The fancy pansy tried to snick us, so we tricked him, tried to snick him, and now you're trying to get us all snicked. Just like I planned. No, wait, I didn't plan for any of this at all. Zog it, Redbrain! I thought you was a smart boy.
Boss, I's only 2 weeks old. And hardly a match for the great Calistrixus, the scourge of the Blood Quarter, Arcana Yellow Belly. The weedy, skinny orcs that Gutsmangle first met in the Bone Middens had been left out of the plan. Gitslaya had excluded them because they were, quote, completely un-orky, cowardly gits that weren't good for nothing. They had stayed back. But once the other orcs had left, Yellow Belly felt he had something to prove. Maybe he could be more than a weedy, weak, sad excuse for an orc. He hesitated. But eventually, he got up the courage to follow after Gitslaya. The warboss was convinced that these runts were no good for anything. But there Yellow Belly stood, a healthy-sized rock in his hand, as Bonepicker cried out, holding his own hand to his bleeding head.
I might not be much, but today, I's a orc.
The small orcs hooted and hollered as they hurled their crude weapons down at the Drukhari. While the others were distracted, Redbrain took advantage of Bonepicker's wound to deliver a powerful headbutt to the back of his skull, dropping the traitorous pansy. The other Dark Eldar easily dodged the thrown weapons and ran to engage the weak orcs. But Yellow Belly and his crew were very good at hiding and slipping into small places. They quickly melted away into the pile of crates, setting up ambushes for the Dark Eldar if they followed them. Redbrain resumed working to free Gitslaya. Meanwhile, the retinue of Maestro Chopovsky had absorbed the initial charge and now were pushing back. The grotesques led the way, battering the orcs out of the way as Rax neatly and efficiently dismembered the crude greenskins. Poodle and his pack moved to flank and harry the abominations, but the formation was too tightly packed for the squig to really break in. Poodle growled angrily out of range of the cruel weapons of the Maestro. Chopovsky himself was now going blade to blade with Krumpa.
You're the one they sent against me. The big one couldn't defeat me before. What makes you think you can defeat me now? Joke's on you, pansy. I don't think.
Krumpa swung his chopper at the Maestro, who deftly dodged out of the way, and he brought his surgical shears down on the orc's arm, severing it immediately. Krumpa roared in pain as the bleeding stump burned with whatever horrific thing Chopovsky had coated the blades with. Orcs don't have much of a pain response. Pain for an orc simply makes them dimly aware that they've been injured. But this was something different. Krumpa yelled out again as his arm hissed and burned. A normal human would have passed out from the pain, but Krumpa roared and swung his other chopper. A quick snip, and that arm was gone too.
Speaking of jokes, you're a joke, you know that? You're nothing to me, an inferior being with inferior skills. Shut up!
Krumpa threw himself forward and managed to bash his head into the protective helmet of the Maestro's anti-poverty suit, shattering the visor and smashing the bridge of the Maestro's nose. Krumpa grinned victoriously, just for a moment, before he was stabbed through the chest and ripped apart by Chopovsky's most trusted rack.
By the muses, Jerome, you couldn't have chosen worse timing. Well, containment's been breached, and I've been infected with the poor. Ugh. Next thing you'll know, I'll be buying lottery tickets and eating canned groks.
As Chopovsky wiped the strange liquid from his nose that might have been blood, but with the homunculus you never know, he looked up to see a very angry warboss standing over him.
I need you alive, so I can get out of this place. But I don't need you to be in one piece. This one is for Krumpa.
No man do they call me. My mother and my father, and all my comrades as well. Thank you all for watching another episode of Gitslaya and Komara. If you enjoyed listening to the story, please like and comment, as that helps the boys in green spread throughout all of Komara. If you aren't subscribed yet, please do so in order to be alerted when new stories come out, so you won't miss any of Warboss Gitslaya's adventures. If you have absolutely no idea what's going on, you can check out the Gitslaya playlist, which should be on screen right now. And if you would like to support me so I can afford my own anti-poverty suit one day, please feel free to support me on Patreon or donate via PayPal. Thank you all very much. No Man out.